Good morning, I am Kevin Price. I'm going to talk to you today about you and your business. I tell you right now, the reason why I'm in business is to be able to take care of my family, and I love books that address that very issue. And today we've got an interesting one, to say the least. Anthony Esolen, he is the author of a new book out there. It's called Life Under Compulsion: 10 Ways to Destroy the Humanity of Your Children and of your child, rather. And great book. I got it about a week ago. I haven't had a chance to finish it. I was reading another great book when it came, but I did dive into it enough to say it certainly is an interesting book. And I really like your writing. I checked out the website over there, crisismagazine.com. I encourage the listener to check it out as well. And, a lot of people immediately are going to see that it's a kind of a worldview type publication from a Catholic worldview perspective, I think it's safe to say. But what I like about it is that it's just a solidly intellectual look at the world. It's not reactionary. It's not flippant in the way it looks at things, and it has a prism that, frankly, although I probably don't agree with it entirely because I'm not Catholic, I bet I largely agree with it. I see some people like G.K. Chesterton being quoted in it. His book Orthodoxy is one of my favorite books I've read. Chesterton being one who greatly influenced C.S. Lewis, one of the greatest intellectuals of the 20th century. And so I think anyone who's serious about what they read will enjoy Crisis Magazine, and I know they'll enjoy this new book, Life Under Compulsion. And welcome to our program.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. Kind of tell us a little bit. First of all, you've written a lot of books. Kind of give us a panoramic overview of those books.
Well, I guess I've been wearing many hats. I've translated Dante's Divine Comedy for Modern Library, and I've done other translations of epics and written, as you said, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Western Civilization. I've written books on Christian literature and on the Catholic Mass, and a couple of books on what it means essentially to be an imaginative human being and to be free. That would be 10 Ways to Destroy the Imagination of Your Child, and this was really a sequel to that and a more sobering book, this Life Under Compulsion.
Yeah, no question about it. And what in particular? Kind of give us the overview. First of all, there's 10 issues there that you point at that can lead to destruction. And looking it over, a few of them are things that our kids are experiencing every day. But kind of give us a panoramic overview of those 10 things. Well,
the idea of the whole book. And this would not have struck any of the founding fathers as unusual. Wouldn't have struck the great ancient pagan philosophers as unusual. But the whole idea is that when we're talking about liberty, okay, we are not talking as a bratty adolescent might be about a permission slip to do whatever you please, so long as you don't flagrantly hurt your neighbor. You can more subtly hurt your neighbor in the common good, and that's okay. But so long as you get to do what you want, that's the sum and substance of liberty. And frankly,
it's more libertine than liberty.
Yeah, and it's not only is it not, according to some people like Cicero and Aristotle, Plato, the Stoics generally, not only is that not liberty, it's one step away from enslaving yourself. The worst master, the worst tyrant, is not necessarily the person who is imposing upon you from the outside. The worst tyrant is yourself if you've given yourself over to vice. It's a self-enslavement, an instilling of compulsions within yourself that manacles and fetters you. The ancient philosophers they disagreed about a lot of things, but they didn't disagree about that. They were at one about that. And it occurred to me a few years ago that when I was looking at schools and the schools that my students came from, because I teach literature at Providence College in Rhode Island, that the schools were not only compulsory, that is, you had to attend them or something similar, but that they were breeding grounds for compulsions. They instilled in young people the habits of vice, or the feeling that unless you did this thing, whatever it may be, fill in the blank, you will have a worthless life. You will not be worth anything at all. Your life will be over. You'll be nothing. So you must, and then you can fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. And it struck me that the form of the school and the content of what was being taught melded together and produced a race of people who were self-compelled, and then perfectly willing to be bossed around and ordered around by governments from the outside, too.
Yeah, but on the other hand, are not able to make any kind of internal decisions about what's right or wrong.
No, except insofar as they appeal to their own predilections. Liberty is reduced to I wanna, which is the point of view of a bad adolescent, and government becomes reduced to you have to.
Yeah,
which is the bully of a bratty adolescent.
Yeah, it absolutely is. A great example is the, I hate to use popular culture, but what better way to kind of get a window of what's going on out there? But the Duggar family, for example, which, they've never claimed to be a perfect people,
right.
And they've got this dynamic of a son who obviously made horrific mistakes. And no one except for people who are in that situation would know what they would do. Yet people are attacking them like an absolute lynch mob. And the family went to extraordinary lengths, putting the wings of where the kids stayed,
right.
in such a way to try to make it difficult, doing the best they could. And I think that no matter what, there's certain things that models excellence on their part. Somehow the idea of trying to be a family in pursuit of excellence makes them a bad family, while we have a culture that largely endorses any kind of bizarre behavior and people
right.
doing things to literally mutilate and manipulate their bodies in order to
right.
achieve certain things, yet those people are heroic.
Right. And when it comes to sexual abuse, the former president Clinton seems to have centered his whole life on abusing people. That there's one person who did bad things when he was a 14-year-old boy, and almost. 14-year-old boys are probably the least rational creatures on the face of the earth, and he seems to have lived a clean life afterwards. He's vilified. Fact is, if the Duggars were part of some sort of free love commune, then nobody would be making a big story about this at all.
And if the actions were homosexual, even versus heterosexual.
Oh, we'd thrown a party with pink icing on the cake.
Yeah, and that's it. And I'm not saying. And by the way, I have nothing but compassion towards what Bruce Jenner is going through. I have nothing but sadness that he feels like he was so discontent in his body. But I've read the literature of what happens to people who make the course that he's made. They have the highest suicide rate of any single sector of our society. It's incredible what happens.
Right.
Yet we don't talk about that. We don't talk about it. Instead, we celebrate what he's done without looking consequentially what he might have done to himself.
Yeah, it's one of the ways, maybe the most flagrantly vicious way to ruin the humanity of your child, to fetter the child with compulsions, is to introduce what I call in the book the itch. That's an English translation of what the Latin word means that gives us the word prurient. Prurience is literally an itch, something that you have to scratch. So you imagine somebody taken up with sexual issues, as Bruce Jenner apparently is, and he's not lived a good life before this. He's the father of 6 children by several women. But you instill the itch so that the person thinks, I am wholly defined by my sexual actions. I have to do this. If I don't do this, and you can fill in the blank with whatever the object of your attention may be, if I don't do that, then my life will be over. My life will be miserable. I must.
Anthony, I'm fixing to have to wrap up our segment, but I think you're nailing it on the head. And that what we end up becoming is slaves to the very things we're claiming that is giving us liberty.
Right. And people who have broken the addiction to pornography can speak most eloquently about this, but the rest of the world wouldn't want to hear.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that.
That's right. Anthony Esolen, he is the author of Life Under Compulsion, 10 Ways to Destroy the Humanity of Your Child. I encourage you to check it out and really expand the debate of what is compassionate to include thinking consequentially and really thinking long-term about what these behaviors lead to. Thanks so much, Anthony.
Thank you.
When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdatareview.com, and this is The Price of Business.
Watch it.